What is up, YouTube? Today, we're going to be talking about medical scheduler, remote medical scheduling jobs, and how to schedule. I love to use the Google search because Google gives you a much more comprehensive search than maybe some of the other job search websites. Really does give me an overview of those jobs. So we have high school diploma, 2 years of work related in healthcare administration or finance, insurance, customer service, billing, a call center, or management. And it says, regardless of industry. So if you've worked in an industry that deals with customers, clients, business, they will take your skills for the remote medical scheduling job. As you can see, there's quite a few when we change over. Sometimes you will see them listed in context of unit secretary, but for today, we're going to be talking about scheduler. Here's one actually looking for a Spanish speaking medical scheduler, 17 to 18.50 an hour, which is not bad. Fluent in both English and Spanish, detail oriented. We also have others, patient access. So let's see a little bit about those descriptions. This one is eligible for a $2,000 sign-on bonus. So it looks like we need quite a few jobs in this area. We will look at how much these jobs are paying in just a second, but just wanted to give you an idea behind what jobs were out there. So, we're going to get right into it and talk about patient scheduling and perform some of our duties. Remember, in the comments and description section of all of my videos, you can find this free software where you could practice along with me. You can learn a skill and then work from home. As you saw previously in the previous job description, regardless of what industry you have a job in, dealing with customers, they would like to have your skills in scheduling in the medical profession, medical office, multiple doctors, one doctor, a hospital. Clearly, you would need to get trained in their workflow process, but you would definitely have lots of opportunities out there if you have a certain type of skill set. Maybe you've scheduled appointments before in a different capacity. Maybe you've handled clients and customers. You can relate it directly to this job. So, as a little review, in order to schedule a patient, our patient has to be in the system or in the database or computer or electronic medical record. You'll hear EHR or EMR. This is an electronic record of the patient's information. So typically we would need to go into our patient for new and down to patient, and that will give us our information to register our patient. If you did not join me for my patient registration video, I will link it in the comments and description after this video, and you'll be able to go back and watch the patient registration process before you get to scheduling, because you have to register the patient and they have to be in the system in order for you to give them an appointment in your database. So first things first, I'm going to take a look at the very top. You want to make sure you're looking at the correct date when you're making an appointment. This says Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. And take notice that the doctor's name is John O. Smith. That's very important because if we're working with different doctors um, in an office, we need to make sure that we are selecting the proper doctor to schedule the appointment. So we are scheduling for John O. Smith. Remember, we are taking a patient that we've already previously registered in order to give them an appointment. So I'm searching my patient here, and note or reason, you always need a reason for the visit. So remember, when you are making appointments, you want to check the date of the schedule, make sure you have the right doctor, and make sure you enter a reason for the visit. And easy. My patient now has an appointment for 9:20. Let's say my patient wanted to schedule an appointment in the future. Think of future as time and days. Most of our scheduling software, whether it's this one, Spring Charts or Open EMR, they have a calendar to the left-hand side where you can select that day, and that day will give you the future appointment. So I selected, select the 27th, and you'll see Saturday the 27th comes up in a new window. And at the top, we see our different doctors or professionals who also have schedules. Keep in mind when you're scheduling, it could be multiple doctors, it could be a different room. Like this is an allergy testing room, it looks like here. We have a cast room for anyone who's getting a cast removed. So these rooms are going to be scheduled. So you have to make sure you're using the right drop down or the right box to schedule. All right. So current appointments on the screen that we're looking at, and future appointments will be on a future day if we select the calendar. Well, what about today? What if today I want to schedule an appointment with a different doctor, but I am looking at John Smith's schedule? I will have to change the schedule to that doctor that I want to look at. I'm going to select Dr. Stephen C. Finchman. And as you see, that other appointment appears to disappear. It doesn't. It's still on Dr. Smith's schedule, but right now we're just looking at Dr. Finchman's schedule. So select on an open time. You're going to choose patient. You're going to use the first few letters of the patient's last name. Select the patient and always have a reason for the visit. And now you save. If I'm going to go back to my schedule, you see this one has 8:30 for Chris Sykes for Dr. Finchman on August 23rd. If I want to go back to my other patient, I would have to go back to Dr. Smith. And you see here, the 9:20 patient for Dr. Smith is still canceled. Sometimes patients actually call and say, hey, do I have an appointment? And so you don't have to click in their chart and open up their whole chart. Most places have a spot where you can search for any future appointments. So if I want to look for my patient and I want to search for how many appointments they have or have coming up, I search my patient's name. And as you can see, all of the appointments that the patient has had will come up, including the one I entered today. So I'm going to change the schedule. And once I change it, you'll see that we have Chris Sykes at 8:30. And as you saw when we looked it up, even when we weren't on that screen, we were able to find his appointment. So from this screen, we're looking at Chris Sykes' appointment. But what if we're entering appointments on this screen and a patient calls and they want us to check their appointment? You can do that right from this window in the top right, find patient appointments. It's going to be an existing patient because remember, if your patient is new and they're not registered, you cannot find them in the system. You will not be able to schedule them. So if I look up my new patient, as you see, the 9:20 well visit is there. This is an area if the patient is in the office and they make a follow-up appointment, you can print out this information and give them a copy of an appointment card or printout of their future appointment right there where you see print. So again, just to make an appointment, you have to make sure your patient is registered, new down to patient. And once you know that your patient is registered and in the system, you're going to select open, choose your patient, select the patient's name, and enter a reason for the visit. Must have a reason for the visit. That is very, very important. Now that we have a reason for the visit, we can also schedule the patient for a future appointment by selecting another date in the future, and you see how those future dates drop down. So, how do we know how long to make an appointment for? How do we know if we give our patient a 10-minute appointment or give our patient a 20-minute appointment? Here is a basic guide of how long will each exam take. Keep in mind that every office is going to have its own way of doing things, but it will be very similar to what you see here. For a complete physical examination, 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the examination. Minor in office procedures, we mean like an ingrown toenail. If someone needs a wart frozen off, that is considered a minor in office surgery. An emergency office visit, a patient had a sign and symptom that maybe after a procedure and the doctor has an open appointment, they may consider it an emergency. So 15 to 20 minutes. A new patient is going to be 30 minutes or more because you have to gather information for a new patient. Suture or stitches, that's what sutures are, removal, 10 to 20 minutes. A prenatal visit for a woman who is pregnant, 15 minutes. A follow-up visit, 5 to 10 minutes. And a pap smear or pelvic exam, 15 to 30 minutes. Keep in mind, these are just basic time guides to let you know that this information does change based on the type of appointment. It depends on the type of appointment, the doctor and the provider available, and the space available. Maybe you're doing a complete physical examination, but that requires the specialty examination room. You may have to also understand that you might need to block that room out or schedule that room as well as schedule the doctor. So, really thinking about what your doctor needs for the office visit, thinking about what type of equipment, what room he may need, and how long he may need for a particular procedure. Again, you won't be figuring this out on your own. There will be a time when you schedule something and it'll automatically block out time that you need. Or there's always a documentation and workflow process where you're trained in how many minutes each type of visit is. So keep in mind that depending on where you work, depending on the types of visits that they have, will determine how long your actual doctor's office visit is. So here again, this is where we scheduled our patients by clicking on an open time. Just as a refresher for future appointments, we select a day in the future and it will bring up a future schedule. If we want to schedule for a different doctor, we will have to change the schedule to that doctor. As we change from Dr. Finchman to Dr. Smith. And it's even the same in future appointments. If I want to select a future appointment time and I want to select a different doctor or a different room type, like my cast room, I can do that. The last thing I'm going to show you about is blocking out time. If a doctor is not going to be in the office, he is on vacation, he's blocked out for a conference, you will be given the schedule and you'll be responsible for blocking out those times. And blocking out the time means that no one else can schedule in there. You won't be able to schedule an appointment. That way, there won't be any mix ups for you scheduling a patient and the doctor's not in the office at that time. So selecting on a time, and let's say the doctor is on a conference. It's the educational conference. Okay. And select block this time. As you see, it blocks out the open space. Therefore, I cannot go in at 10:10 and make an appointment. Many medical records or EHR software will allow you to go in and block out time, days at a time or weeks at a time. It will appear as literally blacked out, blocked out, or X'd out. And some programs will only show you available times. So, for instance, if there's time blocked out, you won't even see 10:10 and 10:20 come up as an option to schedule. So keep in mind that with different software, what you're doing, you can block out time, put in a time where the doctor is not going to be in the office so that you won't schedule in that blocked out spot. If I try to click on there and click an appointment, I'll see, oh, there's an educational conference. I can't even choose a patient for an appointment in there. The same as your appointment, you're going to be putting a note in there for what your blocked out time is for. Some offices are very strict about what you can put in there, giving out personal information. Sometimes doctors don't want everyone to know they're on vacation or a conference. So sometimes you just may be blocking out a time and putting in a date. Either way, just learn the way of your medical office or facility and how they block out time in their doctor's office. I could change the schedule and block out time as well. Let's say both doctors are going out for an educational conference, Dr. Smith and Dr. Finchman. You will have to go in and select both doctors to make sure both of their schedules are blocked for time for the educational conference. So you may need to change doctors. You may need to select all or block the time out. But now we know how to schedule a patient, change the doctor, gather a future date on the calendar to schedule a doctor, and we know how to block out that time for the doctor's office if he is going on a conference or will not be there. This way, no one will put an appointment in there by mistake and have your patient upset. So the block out time definitely just helps you, the doctor, and the office. If my patient has a future appointment, I can also look at the future appointment and check out what their time is, especially if they're calling the office or they're not sure, or maybe they need a printed card. And as you see, these are the appointments that are in the system. You can print this option or send. There's a send option where you can export or send it to the portal or send it to their email, depending on what technology your office is using. You can also print the schedule for the day. I know some places have a print schedule where doctors just like to see the printout of who they're going to be seeing for the day, what types of conditions he may be working with to kind of get him a chance to prepare. But many offices now are just using the electronic tracker where you can track the patient and see where they are in the process. So if I want to get my patient and track them, my patient can then be tracked over to the right-hand side in the tracker. I will be using this particular portion of the medical record in a later video called Patient Intake and Tracking the Patient. So that will be a separate video if you're interested. Today's video primarily focusing on that medical scheduler, medical scheduling jobs, remote medical scheduling jobs and positions. So, we're going to go and look at some of those jobs and opportunities right now. Here is the medical scheduler. How much do they make? Base pay 36,600, and the additional pay up to 17,000. We see 54,000 a year is a median range. Top pay trajectory in this area 69,699, and for a senior scheduler 90,000, a lead scheduler 76,866. So if you wanted to go and change it in different areas to see where you are, you can actually do that and see how much they would get paid in your state. And it looks like from New York, it's about the same. I see $50,000, 63 to 100. This says intake and scheduler. So it makes perfect sense that this one would be up to $100,000 because not only are they doing scheduling, they are also doing patient intake. Medical administrative assistant, 15 to $28 an hour. That is about right. And we have a bunch of people that are reporting their salaries, contact centers, medical schedulers, and this looks like the state of New York. Lots and lots of places and organizations are hiring for medical scheduler. There's a bunch of industries that they mention here. I wanted to go down to where it talks about compensation. So lots of people talk about salaries. They give questions and answers about what salaries are and what a typical day is like. And if I scroll down in my area, people with 1 to 3 years experience, even up to 2 days ago, have it submitted their salaries. We see $25 an hour, $23 an hour. We have $36 an hour. Keep in mind, we have someone making $23 an hour who has 15 years experience. They could probably get a lead job making closer to 30, as we have a scheduler with 1 to 3 years experience that actually is getting paid $36 an hour. So I will be talking about how to get the most pay for your skills, for your experience, and your background. So look at a lot of these jobs. They are great jobs in the area of medical scheduling. As a medical scheduler, there are remote jobs available. So go and type in remote medical scheduler, and a master scheduler will come up, 55 to 79,000. Here's an orthopedic place that pays almost 50,000 for their schedulers. There are remote opportunity and companies that come up for remote medical scheduling. So you may take a look at some of those jobs. Also, as I mentioned before, going over some of these jobs just simply by looking at our Google search will give us an idea as to what companies we may want to look up. So let's take a look at that really quickly. Here we are at our remote medical scheduler jobs, full time. It says no degree mentioned. Adapt Health LLC. Robert Half looks like they are hiring for someone bilingual to work as a scheduler. Virtual medical scheduler here. Minimum 1 year related experience. They prefer healthcare, but it's okay if you don't have a healthcare background and you've worked in scheduling, customer service, or have that type of background. We have phone center scheduler, remote work from home. This one looks like a sports center medicine, excellent customer service, and this one is part-time. So for those of you looking for part-time work, you can definitely work part-time doing scheduling. This one says assist health group. You can work as a remote scheduler from anywhere. Let's look at what you'd be doing. Be the first point of contact for potential customers. And it's funny because it says customers, it doesn't say patients. So if you've worked in customer service, it's great experience in a role um, of a high level of customer service interaction. And this is for medical scheduler. So you can work with customers and clients, or you've worked in retail. You can most certainly work in the medical field dealing with clients. Be the first point of contact, inquire about services, be responsible for fielding incoming calls for new and existing customers, and answering their questions about their appointment time. This one doesn't pay as much. It looks like $14 to $16 an hour for full-time work from home. But again, you can always look at other jobs that have different salaries listed. Make sure you search your salary. We have remote scheduler, orthopedic, must be organized, verifies those appointment times. Keep an eye out for if it says must live in Florida. If it's remote, sometimes they only allow you to work remote or work from home from that particular state. Some of them may say anywhere, it does not matter. Like this one, high school diploma required, working with the scheduler, performing outpatient scheduling, registration, and insurance verification. If you did not check out my registration video, I will link it in the comment so you could practice the registration process along with our patient scheduling jobs and positions. There are lots of jobs out there in this area. And if you want to learn how to work remote, work from home, make sure you pay attention to my medical records video, my patient registration video, my medical referrals video. All of those will give you the skill that you need to gain these jobs and work from home. So make sure you learn a skill, work from home, and get these jobs. My name is Carla at Carla's Career Shortcut and Coaching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share my videos to those you think may be interested. All of you have an amazing day and take care.